This is an important lesson that I've learned from Hormozi, and I found it to be extremely helpful, especially as someone who's a young business owner. Hi everyone, my name is Kian. I run a company focusing on corporate training, business consulting, and employee engagement. We've worked with more than 10 multinational companies and more than 2,500 employees across 15 different countries, including Canada, Germany, Australia, China, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, and so forth. And today, I want to share with you a lesson that I found to be extremely helpful that I learned from Hormozi. And the lesson is super simple. It's that you don't want to take advice from someone who has not achieved what you would like to achieve in the future, whether in the near or the distant future. Or in other words, if someone is not where you want to be in the future, you don't want to take advice from them. And this might seem super commonsensical because it's kind of like, if the person has not achieved what I would like to achieve, the person de facto is not really credible. So why would I take advice from someone who is not very credible? And I agree, it is really commonsensical and it seems really intuitive. But I feel that when you're a young business owner and you are not really experienced in running a business, and when you begin to feel lost and uncertain, you may be really susceptible to wanting to accept any advice that comes your way and wanting to implement every one of them so that hopefully one of them would work out. I can share a personal story. The time when I felt super uncertain, the most uncertain, was not right in the beginning of my establishment of my company, when I was trying to find some new clients and prospects. It was a few months after that, after I'd already closed some deals, because the process was kind of like, I gained a degree of success. Revenue was about 70K in local currency. And right now, I was going through a few months of quietness and emptiness. So in my mind, I was thinking, what was I doing wrong? Why was it that I wasn't closing any deals? What was I doing correctly previously that I possibly may not be doing now that's causing this quietness and I guess cold period in the company? And as you run your own business, if there's no deal, then you have no income. So that was when I felt the most anxious. And as a young business owner, a lot of people wanted to give me a lot of advice, and I was willing to take all of these advice because I was thinking something must be wrong and I want to try everything that I can so that hopefully one of them would work out and that I would then have some more momentum with the business. And when that happened, I was feeling even more lost. When that happened, meaning when I tried to incorporate every piece of advice that came my way, I felt even more lost because people would say different things, right? People who were out of the industry, they would tell you things about sales, marketing, operations, program design, and you would just feel really lost. And that was what happened to me. So as I tried to implement all these advice, not only did I feel more lost, I felt like I was going nowhere and I felt like I was burning out because it's a lot of things going on at once with no sense of direction at all. So it didn't really matter what I was doing. I just was feeling so lost. And eventually I thought, hey, if I'm going to take advice from someone, it's going to be from someone credible. And of course, I had to decide what credible meant to me. And today I decide that someone who is credible would be someone who is competent across 4 measures that I find to be very important: career progression, financial attainment, intellectual pursuit, and fitness. Fitness because I think it is highly associated with being disciplined. So someone who is really fit and able to maintain their fitness, especially in their late 40s or 50s, typically would be someone who is very disciplined. And if the person is highly disciplined, I probably have a thing or two that I can learn from the person. But anyhow, I learned to eventually be more selective with the advice that I take and incorporate and implement. And I found that to be very fulfilling because I've learned to also, by being more selective with who I listen to, I also restrict the number of goals that I set for myself and my team. And as a result, I feel more focused and more able to dedicate to what I think to be most important in the short and the long term. So, simple piece of advice. You don't want to take advice from someone who is not where you want to be or who has not attained what you would like to attain in the future, whether in the near or the distant future. And again, might seem very commonsensical, but when you're young and you feel really lost, you may feel susceptible to taking every piece of advice that comes your way. Anyhow, I hope you learned something new from the video. If you have, please like the video, leave a comment, share with me your thoughts, ideas, and comments. I will definitely read and respond to them. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so, and until next time, I will see you.